Mr. Chancellor, it is my honor to present to you Mr. Kenneth Deer, Secretary of the Mohawk Nation at Kahnawake. We will begin our introduction with a few words in Mohawk from Mr. Deer's son, Brian Aguironde Deer.
Sego wat Concordia zo waguego. Negadi go nuwa wasundo am gere wanundo se. Ostu ha ge wanu heste giga nene rageni ha. Nene ajaha yondo. Nene roskare ewa ge ni ho darota. Negadi Kahnawake ni thana gere. Kanyo ge ha ne ni hone gere sorota. Negadi nuwa ni honi serada giga hayena giga yori howana no hoda ta wahuayo. Negadi tinigari was sihia deeri. Tinigari was gay ahre joke de ojok part of the Rihuak and Royal Duchess. Negadi the Hadasawa, Nene Radika was Canadago, Nene Radixagun out of the Rihuak. Wahoyo the Nada Radixagun out of the Rihuasta, Nene was Sahre, Nagwadi Scona Zeniti, Awadu, Omdari Wanste, Negadi Nine Oni, Omdoheste. The Hadasawa. Nene gahedum shra nene yori was a nene hoda I wanene nuguanada tanu aguego Canada guego tanu aguet tinue oguahua tadi tarunio nene Easter door neguayat negati nene oni joke de nene oni ne ague nene hoda nene oyani hodi guet sura ne hodi guet sura oya no guahunwe no hoda de hodi negun hare asa gostiane ni hagwe ni hogweni negati agwena hoda nene guayana no sarota yuguanyo gahaga guadano suni ne jogo de nero yo daje jogo de roquisno skona zinidi agwe oyo yota skona zinidi adawadu hage zini kwa zinuni kwa darunio Negadi nene zawaju, ona zawado hetstegi, zawado hetstan enuwa. Negadi wat Concordia dan ayawas, zawadaras fuyohage. Tanu doga de scan dagiga, lunque to ira de nazo hayondo. Negati, tonije zawade nyondaste, zawata hida. Tinigari was zawun hegon no hunjarke. Negadi tonayuan agenu. Yeah, thank you.
Now, Mr. Deer has made his mark in a number of fields, including education, news media, and international politics. He is known internationally as a prominent and unrelenting voice in defense of the human, cultural, and economic rights of Indigenous peoples around the world. Mr. Deer has fostered awareness of Indigenous peoples' rights through many channels. He began his career in education in 1972, spending 16 years in this field. In the 1970s, he helped establish the Kahnawake Survival School, which continues to provide education steeped in Indigenous culture and heritage. He is a founding member of the First Nations Education Council and the National Indian Education Council. Mr. Deer's impact has also been felt in the world of journalism. In 1992, he founded the Kahnawake-based award-winning newspaper, The Eastern Door, known for its focus on Indigenous issues and as a trusted source of unbiased reporting. He ran the publication as publisher and editor-in-chief until 2008. Mr. Deer has been actively involved with various associations such as the Quebec Community Newspaper Association, the Canadian Community Newspapers of Commerce, and the Native American Journalists Association. His work in the field of journalism has garnered him numerous accolades, including the National Aboriginal Achievement Award for Media and Communication. En plus de son dévouement soutenu au service de sa communauté, M. Deer est aussi l'un des fers de lance du mouvement international de défense des droits des peuples autochtones. Depuis 1987, il prend régulièrement une part active aux travaux du groupe de travail des Nations Unies sur les populations autochtones. Il a joué notamment un rôle de premier plan dans la rédaction de la Déclaration des Nations Unies sur les droits des peuples autochtones, un document essentiel adopté par l'ONU en 2007 qui reconnaît, entre autres, le droit des peuples autochtones à l'autodétermination. M. Deer a également été président-rapporteur du groupe de travail des Nations Unies sur les médias autochtones en l'an 2000 et fut l'une des premières personnes d'origine autochtone à occuper ce poste. For our students graduating today, Mr. Deer provides a powerful example of what can be achieved through hard work, passion, and commitment to social justice. Mr. Chancellor, on behalf of the Senate and the Board of Governors, it is my privilege and honor to present to you Mr. Kenneth Deer so that you may confer upon him the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa.
It gives me great pleasure to ask Dr. Kenneth Deer to provide us with his convocation address, and I welcome him to the Concordia family.
Thank you, Chancellor, and also thank you to the Chair, and also to the President of Concordia and all the distinguished faculty here, and all of you on the front row. I am extremely touched by this honor. I really am humbled by all of this, and yeah, I really honestly, sincerely believe that other people are more deserving. So I accept this honor on behalf of all my brothers and sisters, our Indigenous people who have been fighting for the rights of Indigenous peoples here in Canada, United States, and also around the world. I think that all of us together are responsible for all the actions that have taken place in the last 30 or 40 years. I want to say that I'm really envious of the graduates here today, because I never had a chance to sit where you're sitting. Because people like myself and others were at the front lines of struggling to take back control of our lives away from governments like the Canadian government, fighting against the Indian Act and all these kinds of legislations that restrict our freedom. And when I first got involved in education, my primary role at that time was to stop the high rate of dropouts that Mohawk students were facing at that time. And I was thrust into a place where we had a large number of non-Native students, a small number of Native students in an overcrowded school, a lot of tension and stress, and trying to make it the best we can to get our kids out of high school so they can go on to college and sit where you are sitting. I did not have time to go to college or university to get a degree, to get a master's or a PhD to help those kids. I was put in that role at the front line with a minimal amount of education, a certificate out of the University of Toronto and out of the University of Laurentian University. And it was going on like that throughout my life. I became a high school principal. I struggled to get control of post-secondary education away from Indian Affairs, so we controlled it ourselves, so we could send our own children to institutions like this. When I started a newspaper, I started the newspaper without a communications degree from Concordia. Although Concordia did help me by training some of my staff, volunteering, coming to my community, teaching us the difference between news writing and writing for a dissertation. But Concordia was a very big help for me to start my newspaper. But I never had time to go to school to learn how to be a journalist. But I did it anyway. And the same thing when it comes to international arena. When I first went to Geneva, when the people from my community, from the Longhouse, sent me to the United Nations in Geneva in 1987, I didn't know a single thing about international law. I didn't know, I had really wished that I had been able to go to school to learn about law and to learn about how international politics work, but I didn't. I had to learn by the seat of my pants. I had to learn by osmosis, by talking to international lawyers, by talking to our elders and our leadership, and to give me that strength, I had to find my role at international level to help our people. I had to find my role on how to run a newspaper. I had to find my role on how to fight for control of our education. You know, it did not come easily, but it came because there was nobody else to do that. I shouldn't say nobody, but there were very few of us to do that, and so we had to find our own way. We had to find our own role, and that's what you have to do. You have an advantage over me. You have an education, but you yourselves are going to have to find a role to whatever field you get involved in, and whatever your passion is, whatever you want to do in the future, and whether you don't even know what you're going to do in the future. I would never have guessed when I was your age that I would be going to the United Nations. I would never have guessed that I would have started a newspaper. I would never have guessed I would have been a high school principal, considering my behavior in high school. And I certainly would never have guessed that I would have been here addressing you. Not only that, but on the stage at the Place des Arts, which is even, you know, just as far-fetched as getting a doctorate, you know. But finding that role for yourself is going to be as a lifelong journey. You know, it's been a lifelong journey for me. When I came out of elementary school and I left, I was educated in the same government policy that created the residential schools. You know, that whole thing about trying to get the Indian out of the man. That curriculum is the same curriculum that I experienced when I was in school. So when I left school, I did not know what it was to be a Mohawk. And so I went on a lifelong search to find out who I was. And that's what led me to here. I had to find out what it meant to be Indigenous. That new word, a word that I learned by going to Geneva. I didn't know what Indigenous was before that. It was a new thing, and it's a terrific word, and it's a word that we should always use. Also, I want to say that Indigenous peoples are our peoples equal to all other peoples. When I stepped into Geneva in July of 1987, the states and also academics were saying Indigenous peoples are not equal to all other peoples. Indigenous peoples don't have a right to self-determination. So we had to fight that. We had to educate the academics and states and support groups that yes, Indigenous peoples are equal to all other peoples, and yes, because we are equal, we also have a right to self-determination. It took years, decades, before the United Nations passed the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, and still we get resistance from people who are trying to say that we are not equal to others. So the role that I play is to try to teach people, try to teach states, try to teach academics that we are equal to everybody else. So that's the role that I play. I'm not a big leader, I'm not a chief, I'm not a president or anything like that, but I do just to find ways to use media, to use a newspaper, to use speaking engagements, to use every possible way we can is to let people know that Indigenous people are equal to all others and all that means, and that we have a right to self-determination and all that means too. And that, in the same way, all of you in this room are going to have to find your role in life, what you're going to lead to, what you're going to fight for, what your passion is, and how you're going to achieve, what you're going to achieve using that passion. In our culture, when we open a meeting like this, we always give thanksgiving to creation. We always say, when we open a meeting or we start the day, we give thanksgiving to creation. We thank creation for the earth, for the medicines, for the trees, for the animals. For the we give to the birds. We give thanksgiving to creation for the thunderers, and we give thanksgiving to the grandmother moon and to the sun. All of these things are part of creation. And whether you believe in God or you don't, you can't deny creation, that we all exist, and what is our part in creation. So when we give, in our tradition, when we give thanks to creation for all that's there, and we give thanks for the role of all those things in creation, we also have to think about what is our role in creation. What is your role in creation? Because that's a fundamental journey that you're going to be on until the rest of your life, is what is your role in creation? And if you can find that role, and sometimes it's more than one role, sometimes it's many roles, roles change, things change, but you're always on that journey to fulfill your role in creation. And if you find that role and you carry out that role to the best of your ability, then you'll get satisfaction. And then you'll be able to breathe easier, you'll be able to live a better life, and also you will live in peace, because you have fulfilled what you believe you were created for. So with those words, I'd like to leave you and say thank you again for listening, and I wish you the best of luck to finding your role in creation. Now.
Dr. Deer, I'd like to thank you for your role and your creation today. You've left us with a strong message and one that we can all carry with us. Thank you.